Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unscripted with Mark Firth. This is me. I am live, and I want to talk about a subject today, and I want to be open. I'm a little bit worried about how my expertise and business, and therefore by extension, the life of my family, wife, and young kids, is not only going to be impacted by AI over the next few years, but also I feel a bit uncertain about the way the world's heading. I don't know if that's just me, but I'm here to share with you how I'm thinking about this, what I'm doing, and what I'm adjusting in my business. So the first thing to say is, just like a lot of you watching this, you've probably built a business upon skills, intellectual property, rather than being an electrician or a plumber and manual work. If you have, then you're a lot like me. And what I thought about when AI came out, 2-3 years ago, has proven to have protected me to a large degree until now. And I honestly can't see that changing. And I want to give some context. I don't get a lot right. But when I do get things right, they tend to be in the category of bigger directional changes. And what I thought to myself 2-3 years ago is I said to myself that the only thing that I can see that's protected from AI is a personal brand. Now, what do I mean by a personal brand? Let's make sure our dictionaries are matching so that you can understand what it means for you. For me, a personal brand is what other people say about you when you're not there. Or put another way, a personal brand is what people think about you or say about you to their friends when they've seen you online. That would be the online version of it. And as it stands, there's only one version of Mark Firth. Even when there are AI avatars that can recreate me, deep fake, and I would say 12 months away from that. There's only going to be one Mark Firth that can come on here, look at the camera, and say sincerely, this is a real me and not an avatar. And I'm going to build the trust with the audience. And therein lies what I've tried to do and what I am doing. I've built trust with a lot of people over video, over long form content like this, and I completely ignored shorts. Shorts for me are a waste of time. Text posts have their role, but for building a relationship, there's nothing better than long form video, and I will continue to do that because here's the distinction, right? This is the second distinction why I've done it. A lot of people build their businesses by thinking about what can I sell, and then building an audience of people they can sell it to. That would be called niche-based positioning. It's been the traditional way people have done business for a long, long time. But I'm not thinking about my business like that anymore. And this was inspired by watching a Mr. Beast video. Instead, I've asked myself, what happens if we'll go into my positioning change in a moment because I'm not talking about a certain platform, which I can't say, and I'll go into more detail on that in a moment. But I've instead started thinking about it like this. What happens if I could grow the trust of a huge audience of people that behaviorally, I can't even say, you see, you can grow a business without even being able to pronounce stuff, whose behavior, worldview, value systems, and everything aligns with it. If I can build a big audience of those people first, I can then figure out what to sell them as the times change. Because I would think you can all agree. What used to work in terms of being sold has changed in the last 2 and 3 years. So it's not beyond the realms of fantasy to think it's going to change significantly again in the future. So I've got a brand, I've got a group of people like me, the same age as me. I can figure out what to sell and help because my mission is ultimately about helping people to grow their businesses. So I need to have an audience of business owners. Now, the reason I've stopped posting, before we move on to how I'm doing with AI, what I'm specifically doing with AI, I just want to say, some of you might have noticed I've been posting a lot more and I haven't been mentioning certain social media platforms. I can't talk about that here. If you do want to hear me talk about that, you'll have to join my email list and my community because I legally can't. And I think if you were to look at my profile, you've seen I've taken down a lot of content. So I'm just going to leave it there, right? Moving on to the next point. What am I doing with AI? So continuing this theme, I go around social media and I lose the will to live. It's just like the nothing wrong with it, right? Nothing to do with age, but it's just endless 20-somethings that are barely out of diapers going, I fired my whole marketing team and replaced it with this AI agent. And anybody with half a brain cell and the ability to do the math, 2 + 2 = 4, can look at it and just say, you didn't have a marketing team. And then you look at another one that's exactly the same. And it's kind of like you're just recreating a really complicated app to do something you can get over the counter off the shelf from any software company for like $7 a month. I'm not saying it's a scam, because AI is as pervasive and it's going to change society as much as the light bulb and electricity did. And that's part of the reason that these posts are so successful. Because on one hand, yes, we need to think about AI, but on the other hand, it's a load of garbage. Can we just agree? Put a comment below. If I'm saying out loud what you're thinking, they absolutely don't have a clue. When you go through the funnels, which I have, it's just like how to prompt, how to scrape websites and personalize emails. And I tell you what, personalizing emails with AI gets you. I get so many emails that say, hi, Mark, we work with successful doctors like you. Yeah, that's right, because there's an MD called Mark Firth in the United States, so they're scraping the wrong stuff. And more to the point, when everyone can do that and everyone's invading the inbox, how are you going to stand out? You've not got the personal brand. You've not got the trust of the people that ignore you. So I looked at it and said, I got to do something with AI. I've got to protect my brand, and I've got to tick that box and start implementing it into my business. So I'll talk about first what I did personally and then what I did as a team. So the first thing I did personally, and we're running an event on this, by the way, and if you just want to book in with me, just book a chat. I won't charge. Normally for diagnostics, I would do that. But if you're watching this live, just mention this live and say the word, I don't know, like I got to do the save the word driving license. It's on my desk, so we'll just do that, right? Just say the word driving license as a code, and I won't charge. But I was like, the only thing that in this universe that I know of that's truly unique is me, my lived experience, also known as wisdom, the information, data, lessons that I've accumulated over time on the 44 years on this planet. That's knowledge that can't be put in an AI. It includes intuition, it includes energy, it includes my own experience and interpretation of information you get from AI. Do you get that, the distinction? AI is just it's changing society, but it's not got the energy, the intuition, and the interpretation of events that I have. So I thought, what I need to do is I need to create Mark AI. So I thought, what am I going to call it? I don't want to call it Mark AI. It feels a bit egotistical to me. So I thought, let's go with Monet, the impressionist. And I just said, Monet AI, create a great impression. Ridiculous, right? But it worked. And I got an off-the-shelf app, and I said in the training that a page, the training that I'm doing, it took me 45 minutes, it was less. I was able to use a prompt structure and systemize my recordings and build AI agents that I could sell, bill for, add users, protect my IP. I was able to do that in under 45 minutes. And that's been fantastic. And the other thing that I've done with it is you can also onboard your team into it, right? So your team has access to all your knowledge and so forth. So instead of using projects in Claude and projects in ChatGPT, we're building out a platform for our clients and a platform for the internal team contractors where they can tap into certain knowledge. I can gatekeep certain knowledge because I can add tags. So certain contractors don't have this, certain contractors have that. I'm protected in terms of my data because it does more than ChatGPT and Claude does. And yeah, it's really working well. Again, just mention the word driving license. I mentioned the word driving license. I do diagnostic call of how you can implement this in your business and the personal brand stuff, because we're getting on now to 8 years in business, 500,000 so a year consistently. So I do think that while we haven't got FU retirement money, we've at least now got the credibility to talk to people about survival, change, adjustment, and we're growing again after a little dump. Now, little dip. It's the problem when you do this live. You know this is live now, right? Because AI Avatar would never say live on camera they're having a dump, right? So anyway, moving swiftly on. So the last point I want to make is I'm not talking so much about a certain platform. Is that certain platform still working? Absolutely it is. And we're still teaching it behind the scenes. I just can't, because of what I said earlier, mention it. we're getting better results than ever. Why are we getting better results than ever? Because my approach, even through the trends of automation and AI, has always been about personalization and relationship first as a priority. And then how can you speed up that personalization and relationship in a way that you do less busy work? And that means that doing video, working better than ever, tapping into not just your existing network, but the first degree connections of your existing network, doing it in a respectful way, informing yourself, is working better than ever in this day and age. So that's really all I wanted to say today. I can see we're getting a few likes. I don't know on what platform. Maybe I got a like for saying I just have a dump on live internet. But anyway, cool. Let's keep it cool. Let me open up LinkedIn and let me know if you have any questions that you would like to throw at me about how I'm using AI, why I've pivoted to focusing on over 40s. Oh, that's a good one. Why have I focused on over 40s? So I'm 40. Let me just pull up the live while I go to that, right? Oh, posts. Cool. So I'm seeing some comments coming in. And I know there's a delay, so just put them in there now because you'll just be seeing it now. So why have I focused on over 40s? Well, I looked at my data. Data is king. I looked at it going back over 12 months, and that's 39,000 watch hours on YouTube, LinkedIn, a lot of reach, paid advertising spend, and not like single digits the amount of people that bought anything that were under the age of 40. Despite that making up 30% of my viewership on YouTube. I can see the data. So I've voluntarily decided to take a hit on my reach and views on YouTube, knowing that if I go through this initial hit, I will come out the other end and I'll keep the right viewers, but I'll then be able to build more viewers. Also, I believe that over 40s, of which I'm part, we're the first generation that's hit our early 40s when we're looking ahead at 25, maybe 30, maybe 35 years with longevity trends. And we're realizing that online is no longer an option. It's a must-have. And when I started doing this in 2017, 2016, like there were two beliefs that you had to address. The first belief was, oh my God, he's doing this online thing. Is he a network marketer? Is he a scammer? Okay, we got past that belief. Now let's talk about what we do. And that's changed for the over 40s. That first thing that first belief is not such a big barrier now. That belief is almost taken care of. So all we need to talk about now is what we do, the plan for building your personal brand, investing in your time over the next 40 years. And the other thing I've found is that over 40s are more discerning. They buy in a different way. That is to say, look, I was 21. I wasn't 21, so I was an idiot. And I wish I'd done things a lot more different. But that's the beauty of youth, right? It's wasted on the young. But there's a lot of them will buy into the alpha stuff, the Andrew Tate stuff, like how you make $1 billion in 2 hours without turning your computer on. They're like, yeah, I want some of that, right? I'm not going to speak to a market that believes that. I'm not going to speak to a market that thinks they can just turn on their computer and make $1 billion. I'm going to speak to a market that has difficult questions. I'm going to speak to a market that's cynical. I'm going to speak to a market that's got the scars of life, and I'm going to earn their attention and speak to them through the lens of experience and water under the bridge so that they believe they can do it, and we form a long-term relationship. That's how I'm doing my business differently these days. Let's just go and see if we've got any more comments. And as a result of that, you're going to see way more lives. So anyway, I'm going to finish now because my wife has gone away to Colombia. So I got the kids for the next 2 days. Wish me luck, all right? Bye-bye.